आदत बन गई ना। Sir, you are not audible.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, audience. Am I audible right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So apologies from our end because we had some technical issue of audio. Okay, well, in this afternoon session, I'll be taking you through Raspberry Pi, and this is the official symbol for Raspberry Pi, and they have named it after a fruit. And you might ask the question, why a fruit name? Why not something else? So in earlier days, if you look at most popular computer manufacturing companies, so they usually preferred some fruits name like be it apple or apricot. Apricot is no more in existence, but still apricot was one of the leading company in its era. So they all made use of some or the other fruits name, and hence Raspberry Pi company also thought of naming their company after a fruit. So these are the contents that which I'll be taking you through, wherein we'll go through what is Raspberry Pi, and we'll see why Raspberry Pi has to be used and who all can use it and where all it can be used. On the other hand, we'll also we'll have a glance at its history, as well as we'll also go through various models of Raspberry Pi. And over the years, Raspberry Pi is getting improvised, and we'll also go through the core specification of Raspberry Pi 3 as well as the latest model, that is Raspberry Pi 4, and we'll also go through the specifications of Raspberry Pi 4, and we'll see some of the improvements and identify onboard components that which are available on Raspberry Pi. And we'll also have a look at GPIO pins that which are available on the Raspberry Pi, because we'll make use of these GPIO pins in order to interact with outside world. And we'll also go through the operating system that which we can burn onto Raspberry Pi. First of all, what is Raspberry Pi? So this Raspberry Pi is a low-cost credit card-sized computer. So this entire computer is of size, just of size credit card. And there are other versions of Raspberry Pi like Pi Zero that which are even more small. The entire footprint of this Pi Zero is very small. And this thing plugs into a computer monitor or a TV monitor and uses standard keyboard as well as mouse for its operation. So this is capable of doing whatever you would expect a desktop computer to do. So if you take up a desktop computer or your own laptop, so what all we do over here? So being an engineer, we'll code. First of all, we'll code, and we'll do some Excel work, Excel computation, as well as we can also play some games on it, and we can do a lot of paint and other whatnot. We can do a lot of things over a normal computer, and we can all do the same sort of activities over this credit card size computer. So that is starting from browsing the internet, playing high definition video, to making spreadsheets, word processing, and playing games. We can do anything over here. You just name it. Everything is possible over here. Even artificial intelligence. So in the pre-lunch session, someone was asking like how to implement this AI or ML. So we can even implement all of these things over on this credit card sized computer. So this enables people of all ages to explore computing. So this enables people of all ages to explore computing, as well as to learn how to program in languages such as Scratch as well as Python. And this Scratch is block level programming, wherein we'll be dragging and dropping few blocks depending upon our logic. So we'll have a look at this Scratch also, and after that we'll also have a look at Python, and using this Python high-level language, how to interface lot of devices. We'll go through that. So why Raspberry Pi? So because it's quite powerful for its size, and main factor is its small form factor. The form factor is so small that any embedded application, we can easily make use of this in any sort of embedded application. And embedded application wherein we are having specifically, wherein processing is much more required, processing intensive kind of projects can be easily be implemented on this Raspberry Pi. Whereas controlling intensive kind of projects can be implemented on development boards like Arduino as well as Node MCU. So before you select any sort of development board for your project, you are supposed to know whether your project is control intensive or processing intensive. If it is processing intensive, wherein you would be doing a lot of video analysis or audio analysis, something like that, then your very first choice should be Raspberry Pi, one of the variants of Raspberry Pi. Or else, if your application or your project is much more control intensive, your choice should be Arduino or Node MCU, or any other equivalent boards like MSP430 of Texas Instruments. You can go for any sort of development boards. But the thing is, depending upon your project kind, you are supposed to be in a position to distinguish between whether it's control intensive or processing intensive. Okay, so followed by, it's very low cost. The Raspberry Pi is low cost, and that too Raspberry Pi 4, that which has 8 GB RAM, is available on at an affordable cost of $75. So think over 8 GB, the entire PC works at a RAM of 8 GB, and it's available only at $75. And here, ease of coding, and this ease of coding is because of Python. So the official OS, that which is Raspbian comes equipped with this inbuilt Python. It has inbuilt Python application inside of it, specifically Python version 3 in it. So, and hence we have already seen in a pre-lunch session that how easy this Python language is all about. When relatively to that of C language, C++ or Java, this Python is quite relatively easy, and almost all the packages are readily available over Python. And the next factor is easy to deploy. So because of its small form factor, very small form factor, we can easily deploy Raspberry Pi in any sort of application. So need not to if at all, if you want to make use of a PC, you cannot carry the PC each and every time, or even if it's a laptop, it weighs more, so thereby you cannot carry from one place to the other. So thereby, because of its very small factor, it's quite easy to deploy. As well as it comes up with expansion capabilities. So there are a lot of companies which are preparing vehicles, wherein what they'll do is they'll have this overhead shields. They'll manufacture overhead shields that which can be placed over this Raspberry Pi, and in fact this overhead shields will in turn be so this makes us easy for us to interconnect things. So there are a lot of companies available. So this is about expansion capabilities. So this Raspberry Pi has expansion capabilities, and we can implement real-time projects using this Raspberry Pi because of internet connectivity. So both we are having onboard Wi-Fi module. As well as we can also make use of Ethernet. We do also have Ethernet that which supports over 10/100 GB kind of internet speed. So, and the interesting part or the main highlight of this Raspberry Pi is that its operating system, this operating system is open source, and that too it's Linux. And even Windows have released their own version, and they have made it as free, to be implemented on Raspberry Pi. So, and finally, it can be customized as per our needs and applications. So this Raspberry Pi can be customized. So these are all reasons that which makes Raspberry Pi a powerful computation unit. The thing is, who all can use this Raspberry Pi? Be it teachers, students, hobbyists, engineers, as well as developers. You name anyone. So people of all ages can make use of this Raspberry Pi who are interested in coding. So where all Raspberry Pi can be used? It can be used in schools, and even our own school makes use of Raspberry Pi. So this Raspberry Pi is used for admission purpose instead of computers. So we have been using Raspberry Pis for admission, as well as we do also have Smart Mirror. We have implemented Smart Mirror in our own department. So this Smart Mirror is one of the application that which makes use of Raspberry Pi, unit, as well as speaking of schools or colleges. Here are the applications wherein our own institution is making use of Raspberry Pi, as well as it can be used in home, office, industry, anywhere monitoring and automation is required, because we can directly interface it to internet, we can directly connect it to internet, so thereby it can be used wherever monitoring in the sense, because we can integrate camera module easily onto this Raspberry Pi, so it can be used for monitoring as well as automation. History of Raspberry Pi. So this Raspberry Pi was developed in UK, that is United Kingdom, by Raspberry Pi Foundation, with an intent to promote teaching of basic computer science in schools and developing countries. So basically, it was created with an aim to promote computer science in schools as well as in developing countries, because developing countries cannot afford high-cost systems, but whereas they can easily afford Raspberry Pi, that which is a credit card sized computer. So it's a credit sized computer. So, and the foundation goal is to advance the education of adults and children, particularly in the field of computer science and related subjects. Now let's have a look at different models that which are available on Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi started with model 1, Raspberry Pi 1. So here are the specifications, which I won't be going through because it's already obsolete. Followed by there was some improvement in Raspberry Pi 2, and Raspberry Pi 3 had a lot of most of the back in our college we made use of this Raspberry Pi 3 for most of our projects. Followed by Raspberry Pi 0, that which is of very small form size. So as I said, it's almost a pocket pen drive size kind of computer. So in a similar way, right now we are having Raspberry Pi 4, which is associated with 8 GB RAM, and it's just available for price $75. So just think over its computational capability, because it's equipped with 8 GB RAM, but the price is relatively less. So unlike its preceders, the new board is capable of even playing 4K video. So that which is a very high definition video, that is 4K video, that which usually plays at 60 frames per second, and boosting the Pi Media Center credentials. So earlier, So earlier it was known that Raspberry Pi isn't capable of playing high quality speeds at a faster rate. But look at the capability of this new variant of Raspberry Pi, that is Raspberry Pi 4, that which is equipped with 4 GB RAM, that which is equipped with 8 GB RAM. It's able to even play 4K video. So now let's look at improvements in Raspberry Pi 3 compared to that of Raspberry Pi 2. So it's equipped with quad-core Broadcom BCM2837, that which is a 64-bit processor, and the processor speed has increased from 900 megahertz to 1.2 gigahertz, and it has BCM 43438 Wi-Fi onboard, and it also is equipped with Bluetooth that supports low energy, that consumes low energy, that is BEL onboard, and it has upgraded switched power source up to 25 amperes, such that it can now power even more powerful devices over USB ports. Earlier, if we used to plug in, because this Raspberry Pi 3 has 4 USB ports, it has 4 USB ports. So if we used to plug in more number of USB devices onto a single RPi, it was not supporting, because it was not efficient to supply the required current. So, but now in Raspberry Pi 3, they have upgraded it to 2.5 amperes. So here is a comparison table between Raspberry Pi 2 and Raspberry Pi 3. So in fact, I'll be sharing these slides and you can go through these in detail. So back in this table, I have quoted the same thing, 64-bit, whereas a Raspberry Pi 2 was only 32-bit. And here you can see that current rating has been increased from 1.8 ampere to 2.5 ampere. And moreover, you can also see that it has built-in Wi-Fi module, but whereas for Raspberry Pi 2, RPi 2, we were supposed to make use of some Wi-Fi dongle. And here are some of the specifications that which are available on Raspberry Pi 4. So it has a system on chip that is of company Broadcom BCM2711, and the CPU is quad-core 1.5 gigahertz ARM Cortex, because you'll be knowing that Cortex is something, this ARM architecture, this ARM, that is Advanced RISC Machine architecture, is preferred for battery operated devices. Battery operated devices or handheld devices, we also call them as handheld devices. Be it your any mobile phone, you take out your any smartphone, and if you try to go through its architecture or the CPU architecture, they are all based on ARM architecture, and that too specifically Cortex is a newer version in ARM, and this is the one that which is used for Raspberry Pi 4. And you can see that it also supports it also has a graphical processing unit, Video Core 6, and it also supports memory of 1 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB, as well as right now we are having 8 GB RAM. That is the latest one in the market, and it also has onboard Wi-Fi unit, as well as it supports Bluetooth 5.0, and it also has gigabit Ethernet that will support somewhere around 100 to 10 to 100 GB Ethernet slot. And under video, as I said, it supports 4K video, that which plays at frequency 60 Hertz, and it has digital serial display serial interface, as well as camera serial interface in it, and it also has 4-pole stereo output, wherein we can directly plug in our 4-pole stereo jack, and it has 4 USB ports, out of which 2 are USB 3.0 and other 2 are USB 2.0. Only thing is transfer rate increases where in 3.0 compared to that of 2.0, and as well as it has GPIO pins, and expandability is of 40 pin GPIO header. So this is the onboard components in Raspberry Pi, and let's try to have a look at it. So let's start from here. So this is the Ethernet slot wherein it supports 10/100 gigabyte kind of LAN, as well as it has 3.5 mm 4-pole composite video and audio output jack. It has camera serial interface, that is I can directly interface PiCam onto this slot, and I can record the video, or I can take still pictures. And this is HDMI video output port, wherein if I want to plug this RPi onto any monitor, I'll make use of this. So we can make use of HDMI to VGA converter, and this VGA converter plugs into your computer monitor, wherein we can have a look at the OS or the GUI that which Raspbian OS renders. And this is where this micro USB slot is one through which we can power up this Raspberry Pi. And this is the display serial interface, wherein if I don't want this to connect to a monitor, I can depend upon some touch screens that which are available for our application. We can easily plug in such display panels via this DSI display port. And here down below of this Raspberry Pi, we are having a slot wherein we can plug in our micro SD. So it's usually preferred to go for 16 GB capacity, and that too which is of class 10. So if at all, if you want to work on this Raspberry Pi, make sure that to buy a memory card that which is at least of 16 GB, and that too its class should be 10. So this class defines the speed at which this Raspberry Pi operates. Even though you are trying to buy Raspberry Pi 4, and if you are not going for a higher class SD card, then your system, your OS will not work at a faster rate. So make sure that to buy an SD card that is of at least class 10. So followed by here is where we are having onboard Bluetooth as well as Wi-Fi module, and this is the Broadcom processor, that is BCM2837, that is of 64-bit. So this is the processor, and we are having this 40-pin extended GPIO pins, that which by using which we can interact with outside world, wherein we can connect sensors, as well as we can also interface some actuators. And we do so the entire dimension of this Raspberry Pi 3 Model B is 85.6 mm cross 56 mm cross 21 mm, and it also has 4 USB ports to which we can connect keyboard, mouse, as well as we can also connect USB camera. If you are trying to do some video processing kind of or image processing kind of projects, you can easily plug in such USB cameras onto one of these slots, or you can also go for Pi camera. So one of the so next is GPIO, general purpose input output pins. So one of the powerful feature of this Raspberry Pi is the row of GPIO pins along with the top edge of the board. So physical interface between Pi and the outside world is carried out using this GPIO pins. So there are 40 pins available, out of which only we are having 26 GPIO pins that which can be programmed, and few other pins are reserved, and left out pins are either power or ground pins. As you can see, the ones that which are so this Raspberry Pi is capable of providing 5 volts as well as 3.3 volt, because few sensors works on 3.3 volt and few others works on 5 volts. And but whereas this GPIO pins, so they are capable of delivering or handling only 3.3 volts. We got to be very, very careful while interfacing sensors with these GPIO pins, because any power fluctuations or and even you are supposed to wear static band to your hand, because we human beings carry some static electricity that which might harm our Raspberry Pi. So it's usually preferred to wear static bands if you are touching it with your bare hands, or there are a lot of casings that which are available for Raspberry Pi. You can cover Raspberry Pi using those casings, plastic casings. And you can also see that there are a lot of GPIO pins are also multiplexed with other functionalities, like this is SPIO. So GPIO, so all these pins are multiplexed. So here is where you can see that GPIO pin number 14 and GPIO pin number 15, they are multiplexed with the UART capabilities, that is UART TXD, UART RXD. So here is where you can see that GPIO pin number 10 and 9, they are multiplexed with serial peripheral interface capability. So an operating system is a system software that which manages computer hardware and software resources and provides common services for computer programs. And the official operating system for this Raspberry Pi is Raspbian. And this Raspbian is derived from Raspberry. So it has two terminologies in it. One is Raspberry, the other one is Debian. So because it's been derived from Debian OS. So this version of Raspbian has been derived from Debian Linux. So thereby the name Raspberry as well as Debian, combination of these two terminologies leads to Raspbian. And right now the latest Raspbian OS is Buster. Before this Buster we had Stretch. We had this Raspbian Stretch, and before that we had VZ. So from year to year, they are making some changes in OS also. So for Raspberry Pi 4, for Raspberry R Pi 4, it's preferred to go for Buster, and for Raspberry Pi 3, it's preferred to go for a Stretch, Raspbian Stretch. Now let's see how to set up Raspberry Pi OS. Just a minute, my software has crashed. Let me take a minute. So in order to burn this OS, what softwares we require is we require SD formatter. We require a software by name SD formatter. So because we require SD formatter because let's say you have used some SD card. Let's assume that it has earlier version of Raspbian. Let's say it has an OS Raspbian VZ, and I want to upgrade it to, and I want to upgrade this VZ to stretch. Now, the thing is, what I'll do is I'll plug in this SD card. I'll plug in this SD card onto a card reader. I'll put this onto a card reader, and in turn, I'll plug in this. Plug in this card reader onto my laptop. And if I and this SD card will be detected. And because before I put in some new OS, I got to format it. And if you right click, and if you go for regular format option, if you go for regular formatting option, it will show you just 4 MB to 8 MB free space right after formatting. So in order to avoid that, we got to make use of a we got to make use of a third-party formatter software that is known by SD formatter name, and you can download this SD formatter using this link. Let me copy paste this link. So you can download this SD card formatter software from here, and make sure that you format your SD cards using this software. So this is where you can download this software. So let me copy its URL. So you're supposed to install this and you're supposed to select SD card volume label and click on the option, select format, adjustment option on, and you can format your SD card. Followed by, in order to burn the stretch OS, what we'll do is we need two more softwares, or either you can go for Win32 Disk Imager or HF. So whichever you prefer, you can make use of. Okay, and you can download this Win32 Disk Imager from this link. I'll be pasting it in the comments section. So whoever wants to download, you can download it. Or you can also go for the other software, that is Etcher. So I have a question from Krishna Kumar Joshi, sir. Can't it be formatted in Windows in usual way? It cannot be formatted because, as I said, it creates a problem. That is, let's say your SD card is of size, let's say 16 GB, and let's say earlier it's containing VZOS. You have already burnt some VZOS onto this, and let's say you're trying to do this normal format. So this is usual formatting thing. But the thing is, it will ultimately show that right after formatting that your SD card is of only 4 MB to 8 MB, and you will think that it's of no use. But you can reuse that SD card using this SD formatter software. So make sure that in order to get the entire 16 GB space, in order to again get back this 16 GB space, you are supposed to format it using SD formatter application. So I hope that was the answer for your question. Let me paste the link. The thing is, you can either go for Win32 Disk Imager or HR.io. You can make use of any of the software. For time being, we are not going through this in detail. So after burning your Raspbian OS, so this is how the desktop would look like right after your first boot. So this is how your screen looks like. Now the thing is, back in this, you're supposed to you're supposed to add few lines in config.txt file so that you set the screen resolution for your computer screen. So if you are not adding these 3 lines, the resolution will be somewhat different, and the font size will be somewhat larger, and you won't be in a position to get connected with that of Raspbian OS. Make sure that you add these 3 lines. So let me take you through my webcam. So right now what I have done is I have powered my Raspberry Pi, and this is Raspberry Pi 3 version 3, and here you can see that I have plugged in micro USB slot. Here you can see that I have plugged in micro USB right now here, and because it's power on, it's getting indicated with this red color LED glowing. So right now here, or let me rotate this. I hope you can see some red light via its casing. That we are having, in fact, 2 LEDs back there. One red in color, the other one is next to it is green in color. So this red color LED confirms that this Raspberry Pi has been powered up. Okay, well, let me show you the desktop view. So this is how the actual screen looks like. I hope this desktop screen is visible to everyone. And back here, I have even added a lot of plugins so as to make my Raspberry Pi somewhat. Because I wanted it to look like Mac OS, so I have added this some additional software. So back here, as I said, we got to add these 3 lines, and in order to add these 3 lines, I am supposed to navigate to boot, and which is a folder under root. So in order to do so, what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to open up our terminal, and the shortcut to open up this terminal is Control Alt T. I can also open up this. I can also open up this terminal using the shortcut Control plus Alt plus T. So this is the shortcut in order to open up terminal. So most of the tasks that which we do in Linux is via this terminal. Now here by default we'll be in order to know where exactly we are located. I can type pwd. I can type pwd, that which stands for present working directory. Or if you want to know what exactly pwd stands for, you can do this man pwd, where man refers to manual, wherein I am specifically searching for pwd, what pwd actually stands for. And I hope in the pre-lunch session, Chetan sir has taken you through a lot of such commands, useful commands. And here you can see that pwd actually prints name of current or working directory. So here, right now we are inside root, specifically home, and our username is file. And here I got to enter into cd slash. Okay, right now I'm in root, and inside root, as you can see, inside root I can have this boot. Right now I'm supposed to enter into boot, and in order to enter into boot, I got to change my directory. So I'll make use of the command cd boot, enter, and here is where I'll make use of nano editor. So and in order to access or in order to make changes in OS related files, I got to be the admin or the super user, for which I'll make use of the command sudo super user do. So I'll type sudo nano is the editor space config. Let's say you don't know the exact name of that file. All you got to do is you got to type con, then followed by tab, and it will complete the text entire file, and it will only complete. So sudo nano config.txt. So here nano is the editor, remember that, and this is the file wherein I'm supposed to make the changes. After that, hit enter, and if I scroll down below, I think I lost it. Oh, okay, here. So you will be having this section that is uncomment to force a specific HDMI mode. Specific HDMI mode. This will force VGA. So here is where you got to add these 3 lines. Earlier, these 3 lines will be commented, or you will be having only single line over here. But make sure that you add these 3 lines so that resolution will be set. Resolution of your screen will be set, because these things are very trivial and most of them will not make out. But these are we are supposed to do it. Hit Control X in order to exit. So here, in order to exit, you can see that it's next to it. It's associated with cap X. That which stands, this cap over here stands for control. So what I'll do is I'll hit Control X from my keyboard in order to exit from here. Okay, well. So right after your first boot, there are few things that which you are supposed to do. So one is you are supposed to set up your boot configuration. So back in boot configuration, you can, so for newer versions of Raspbian, they have provided this configuration. And in earlier versions of Raspbian, we didn't had this graphical user interface in order to configure. And in order to do so, we were relying on command that is sudo raspi -config. So we used to depend upon this command and we used to type this in terminal. But right now, as the improvement, they have provided this configuration, and this configuration is available for us. So under so all I got to do is I got to tap on this Raspberry Pi Raspberry icon, and under preferences down here you can see that we are having this Raspberry Pi configuration. So just by hitting on this, I can get access to host name, whether to directly boot to desktop or whether to boot to command line interface, or whether to auto login or not, and as well as interfaces, because this, as I said, this Raspberry Pi has a lot of things in it. One is I can directly enable camera. So right now, make sure that by default it will be in disabled state. Make sure that to convert it to enable, as well as secured shell is enabled. Virtual network computing is also enabled. Serial peripheral interface is enabled. I2C is disabled for time being, and the serial port has been enabled. One wire remote GPU has been enabled. So performance, localization, here is where you can set your time zone and what kind of keyboard you're making use of. Because this Raspberry Pi is UK based, so here make sure that you change the keyboard. Make sure that you change the keyboard to US, because all our system makes use of US kind of keyboards. Or else if you keep this UK kind of keyboard as it is, then few keys will be interchanged because the mapping will change a bit. So make sure that to change this keyboard. So this is what you're supposed to do on your very first boot, and it will be saved for later use. Okay, well, even though these are quite trivial, but it's my duty to take you through all of these tiny trivial kind of activities. And here there are a few commands that are quite important. One is sudo apt-get update, where apt stands for application, get update. So every time whenever you are trying to install any software or anything, make sure that you try to execute this command before that, before doing or installing anything. Make sure that you open up your terminal and type sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get upgrade. So these two commands are very essential whenever you are trying to work on Raspberry Pi. So we are supposed to execute these two because, so if you are trying to update or as well as upgrade, so doing this regularly will keep your installation up to date. In that it will be equivalent to that of latest release image available from raspberrypi.org downloads. And if you want to upgrade your distribution, version, you can specify this dist. So this dist stands for distribution. But make sure that you always type this commands for every week if at all you are working on Raspberry Pi. So these are the few important commands, and I hope Chetan sir has given a better overview on these commands. And this is one of the important thing wherein all pins are just of 3.3 volt logic levels and are not 5 volts. So output levels are 0 to 3.3 and input should not be higher than 3.3. Any input voltage higher than 3.3 will burn your Raspberry Pi. So make sure or try to avoid. And this is the history of Python, why language Python was named as Python. So because we are running out of time, I'll directly jump on to the interfacing part. Now I will take you through how to program, how to make use of this Scratch as well as Python. So let's start with Scratch. So from this, you will get to know how to construct a basic electrical circuit and attach it to your RPi GPIO pins. And followed by, you will also construct an event-driven program to control the circuit with using Scratch. And followed by that, we'll write a simple Python program to control the circuit using integrated development and learning environment. So Python has this IDLE, where IDLE stands for integrated development and learning environment. So here we will write a simple program in Python. So Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, lead me from darkness to light. And here what we'll do is we'll move towards light by glowing an LED. So for that, what we'll do is we'll make use of pins which are directly available on a Raspberry Pi. Let me switch my camera. Okay, this is my Raspberry Pi. So these are the GPIO pins which are available, and you can see that I have kept it in this orientation because here is where I can also get to know, or basically you will get to know what exact pin I am trying to make use of. Okay, well, so here you can see that the pin is GPIO pins are constructed in Z fashion, zigzag fashion. So this is pin number 1, this is pin number 2, followed by this is pin number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or all I can say is, so this is my starting column. Column 1 is odd numbered. Column 1 is odd numbered. And column 2, C2 is even numbered. And if I'm making use of, and here there are two kinds of naming. I can refer on to this pin 3 in two different ways. I can either call it directly by its own name. So it's similar to that of, I hope many of you would be having some nickname among your friends. Let's say if this is, let's say XYZ, or let it be me itself. So if this is my name, I'll be having my own nickname. So few of them will be calling like some other nickname. So in a similar way, here we'll be referring on to this physical pin. So if I consider this to be physical pin, if I am referring on to this physical pin number 3, I can call this pin in two different ways. One is I can directly call it with its own name, like pin number 3, And if I do so, we'll call that kind of mode as BCM, or sorry, board mode. Board mode of calling name. And this is also, I can also call this pin number 3 with GPIO name, wherein it is, I can call it as GPIO number 2. And this kind of calling the same physical pin, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to refer onto same pin with in 2 different ways. And if I'm using this GPIO kind of mode, we call this as BCM mode of referring onto pins. So thereby here, down here, you can see that this is pin number 3. This is pin number 3, and in the next to it we have written. Next to it we have written that you can see that it's also what, GPIO number 2. I can either call this pin number 3 as GPIO 2, or I can directly call it as pin number 3. All I'm trying to do is refer onto the same pin over here. And we'll get to know about it in a better way while going through Python program. Let me first directly power up. Let me try to turn on an LED. So I'll make use of this breadboard. I hope everyone can see this LED right now here. And this LED has 2 legs. One leg is lengthier, relatively longer when compared to that of the other. The longer leg is positive terminal and the shorter leg is negative terminal. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to connect it in series fashion with that of a current limiting resistor. Now to the other end of, now here, because this is positive leg, this is the positive leg. To the other end of this resistor, what I'll do is I'll connect 5 volts. I'll make use of these connecting wires onto this breadboard. And I hope by now you all know how exactly breadboard connections are made internally. So this is vertically shorted section, whereas these sections are horizontally shorted. So I'll connect this to 5 volt. And where can I get that 5 volt? I can get that 5 volt under either pin number 2 or 4. So what I'll do is I'll directly connect it to pin number 2. So out of 40 GPIO pins, only few pins are like configurable, and few other pins are for expansion purpose, and few other are either power or ground. And the other end of this LED, that which is negative terminal, I'll connect it to ground. And where can I get this ground point? I can get this at pin number 6. So what I'll do is I'll connect the other end of this yellow colored wire to this pin number 6. And this is how I do that. Pin number 6 is column 2, which row? 1, 2, 3, third row. Now you can see that this LED is glowing. And if I remove this connection, it turns off. So if I do the connection back again, it glows. Okay. So this is just, we are trying to just glow the LED. We are not trying to program it. But next, let's see how can I do some modifications onto the same, and how can I do this blinking and all. So for which, let's start with Scratch. This Scratch is a visual programming tool which allows the user to create animations as well as games with a drag and drop kind of interface. It allows to create your own computer games, interactive stories, and animations using some programming technique without actually writing the code. Scratch allows user to use event-driven programming with multiple active objects called scripts. So here we'll be having a lot of options like motion, looks, sound, pen, as well as data. Followed by here we'll majorly make use of this events like events, control, sensing, operators, more blocks. So now in order to launch this Scratch, what I'll do is I'll hit on this official logo, and down here under programming, down here you can see that there are two versions of this Scratch. I'll go for the very first one, Scratch. So right here, now what I'll do is, so as I said, here are the options. One is motion. Let me zoom in. Okay, well, okay, here are the options, and here specifically, what I'm supposed to do is, because this is block level kind of programming, all I got to do is click on control, and I got to drag this block, that is when green flag is clicked. So all I got to do is hit on this control, and I got to drag this thing onto this working area, and I got to release it. Likewise, followed by I got to turn on the server. By doing this thing, that is broadcast GPIO server on, what it does is Scratch uses broadcast block to communicate with GPIO pins. First broadcast you need is GPIO server on, which activates GPIO functionality. So in fact, back in Raspberry Pi, let's assume that this is the GPIO section. This is the GPIO section. By using broadcast command, I can now directly communicate. Scratch application can directly communicate now with GPIO pins, and it's all happening because of what command? It's all happening because of this broadcast. So first, I got to turn on that server using broadcast command. So here is where I'm having broadcast. I'll drag it and I'll drop it here. And in the drop down, I got to hit on new. So here is where I got to type GPIO server on. So that which gives the control over GPIO pins, followed by one more broadcast. If I want to configure any GPIO pin as output mode, now what I'll do is I'll hit again new. I'll write config, because before I send any high or low values onto a GPIO pin, first of all I got to configure it in output mode, for which I'll write config. Now here I'll make use of GPIO pin 17, and I'll call it as I'll configure its mode as out, and I'll hit OK. So right after that, because I want that LED to blink continuously, can I request participant to please mute your mic? I'll drag this forever block, and under this forever, because I want that LED, that is GPIO pin number 17, to glow and turn off infinitely, I'm using this forever block. I use this again broadcast. So here you can see that in order to configure any pin as in output mode, all you got to do is mention its GPIO pin followed by out. And if you want to configure any pin as input, so this is output. how we configure a GPIO pin as output in Scratch, and this is how to configure as input. After doing so, I got to make it high and low, for which I'll type GPIO in small case GPIO 17 on, OK, and I want a delay in between, and let that delay be equal to 1 second. I'll duplicate this entire block. Only change that I'll make here is I'll change this GPIO 17 on to off. That which sends logic low value, and I'll join these two blocks. In turn, I'll join this entire block under forever. So now the thing is, let me make corresponding connections on my breadboard. So right now, because I'm trying to do it for GPIO 17, and here is where you can see that we are having GPIO 17 pin. So this is falling under column 1. Row number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sixth row. Sixth row, first column. So I'll remove this par and I'll give it to sixth row, first column. One, two, three, four, five, six. Now all I got to do is I got to hit on this green flag. Where is that green flag? Here. So just by hitting this, you can see that it's an event driven. What's the event? Event is nothing but right now I'm trying to click this flag, and here we have arranged some blocks in some logic, wherein when this green flag is clicked, this GPIO 17 should pass on logic high and logic low, and in between delay is 1 second.
Here is 3 into 1 plus 1, right?
And here you can see that this LED has started to blink.
Here is 3 into 1 plus, yes.
Someone is talking like participants. Are you having any, ma'am, are you having any query? Is there any issue?
Squares can be any whole number. Yes.
I request you to mute your mic.
Needed to form 4 squares and must be.
Whoever is talking.
We can find that 13 matrices are needed to form 4 squares. Similarly,
okay. So I request participants to please mute your mics because it hinders, and we are in fact running out of time. So this is where so this is how we can make use of this Scratch. Likewise, we can also make this. We can also make use of one more unit, that is sensing, wherein I can configure one of other GPIO pin as in input mode, and whenever it senses logic high value, I can turn on an LED. Something like this. So this turns on LED or turns off LED. So here is where we have declared GPIO pin 2 as input. I am trying to declare it as input because it has to sense some high value, and by default it will be low. By default it will be in low state, and whenever a push button is pressed, it will sense logic high, and whenever it senses logic high, I am trying to bring down this GPIO pin 17. So this is the activity, and we can also install a package called as Scratch GPIO. And by installing this Scratch GPIO package, we can omit the use of this block, that is GPIO server on, just by installing this package. And in order to install this package, all we got to make use of this two commands, that is wget is the command, and this is the URL. This is the URL from where it will be fetched. GPIO Scratch GPIO package will be fetched, followed by we'll be installing this shell file. So bash, this file will get installed. This is a shell file. The extension is .sh. Now let's see how to do the same in Python. Now, in order to do it in Python, as I said, let me close this Scratch. This Python, under programming, you can see that it comes equipped with Python 3, ideally integrated development and learning environment. All I can do is I can type a line by line program, but in order to write an entire program, I got to go to file. I got to hit on new file. So this opens up new file. So here is where I got to type commands. And the very first command here is import rpy.gpio as GPIO. So here we'll be importing this package, followed by import time in order to create a delay. And we are trying to set board mode to, we are trying to refer on to all these GPIO pins in board mode and not BCM mode. So here I'm trying to set up pin number 7 as output, such that if I think of this to be pin number 7, it will be configured in output mode, and to this I'll join an LED, I'll connect an LED, and via this LED via current limiting resistance will in turn will be connected to ground. And here we all know that the ground pin is available at pin number 6. So here while one is again never ending. So it's similar to that of void loop in Arduino programming, void loop section of Arduino. So here what I'm trying to do is, while one is always true, there is no condition, the condition is always true. And in the very first line, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to output value. Here true means high. Value that I'm trying to transmit is high or logic 1. And I'm trying to pass this logic 1 value via what pin? Pin number 7. And if I make this as 1, so this LED gets forward bashed. This LED will get forward bashed, leading some emissions, and this and current will flow all the way to the ground. And this remains in glow state for 3 seconds. So here the argument that I'm passing is 3. So we are trying to wait for 3 seconds, followed by we are changing its state back to logic low by using the argument false. So this is logic 0, such that 1 changes to 0. Now on both ends it's logic 0, so there is no potential difference for current to flow. So that which makes this LED to turn off, and this happens continuously or infinitely. So let's try to write this program. So here is where you can see that we have used board mode. And here we are trying to make use of pin number 11. Let me change its range to just 3. Let me save the program by hitting Control S. And in order to run this Python program, all I got to do is go to run and hit on run module, or the shortcut is F5. I'm getting some error message warning. Okay. Let me execute the program again, because warnings can be neglected. So this works. Let me change my camera view, because warnings can be neglected over here. So here what I'll do is I'll run my code, and back here on the other half, you can see the LED glowing only 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So right now we have successfully written a program wherein we have used pin number, that is board, because we are trying to configure it in board mode, that is pin number 11, and we have written here for I in range 0 to 3, and we are trying to call this blink function, and here we are passing the argument 11. Here we are passing the argument, that is pin number 11, such that 11 gets mapped wherever pin has been mentioned, and here we are turning it high and low, and this function is getting called 3 times. So in fact, we are really running out of time. So I have some demonstration projects to show. Let me clear this. Now, thing is, one of the participants was asking how machine learning can be used, or how it can be used for event sourcing kind of projects. So here is a project, not an entire project, it's a small py file wherein we can make use of it for image processing kind of projects. So let me, and for this, let me interface my webcam. So I hope this should return me a error message. So this is my webcam. To this, what I will do is I'll connect its USB end to one of the USB ports of Raspberry Pi. It's just plug and play. Now what I'll do is I will run this program. So you can see that in most of Instagram, so for thug life kind of memes, what they'll do is ultimately they'll place a goggle with a cigar in his mouth. So this is doing the same. Likewise, here. What I have done is I have taken my own data set. I have taken up to 200 images and I have trained this model. I have trained this model for my face. So this is where we have used local binary pattern histogram. So we have implemented this LPBH, LBPH, local pattern binary histogram. So that which makes use of principal component analysis. So in fact, so you can see that it's identifying the face with a red colored box and it's quoting the name also. Let me change the orientation of my webcam. So its working depends upon the kind of illumination that which falls on your face while acquiring the images. It's still giving unknown. Because I had programmed this for confidence value 30. So anyhow, these were the demonstrations for so how we can make use of this RPi for doing machine learning or other kind of projects. Later, I'll be sharing all the project-related files. You can download these project-related files and work on it. So if you are having any queries, please put it in the comment sections, in the chat section. Let me go through that in whatever time that I'm having. Participants, if you are having any queries, please do put it in the chat. Okay, I hope you are not having any sort of queries. So if that is the case, let me end the session. So thank you for patiently listening for all the sessions. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thank you. Over to Pramod sir.
Thank you, Banak sir. The next session will be on tomorrow, 9:30, on quick prototyping by Kaushik or Udupa. Okay. Thank you.